The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of the hospital room, casting long shadows across the sterile white floor. William sat beside the bed, his weathered hands clasped tightly around Kate's frail fingers. At 78, his once strong frame had grown thin, but his eyes still held the same gentle warmth that had captured Kate's heart 53 years ago. Kate lay quietly, her breathing shallow and labored. The cancer had taken so much from her over the past 18 months, but somehow her spirit remained unbroken. Even now, with tubes and wires surrounding her, she managed a weak smile when she felt William's touch. "Do you remember our first dance?" William whispered, his voice barely audible above the soft beeping of the machines. Kate's eyes fluttered open, and for a moment, the years seemed to melt away. She was 22 again, wearing her mother's pearl necklace and that blue dress she had saved up for months to buy. The memory was as vivid as yesterday. They had met at a small-town festival where a local band played under strings of colored lights. William had been too shy to ask her to dance at first, standing by the punch bowl and stealing glances at the beautiful young woman with auburn hair who laughed so freely with her friends. "You stepped on my toes," Kate managed to say, her voice like a soft whisper. William chuckled, tears gathering in the corners of his eyes. She was right. He had been so nervous that he'd stumbled through that first dance, apologizing profusely while she giggled and assured him it was perfectly fine. That night had changed everything. They talked until dawn, sharing dreams and stories under the star-filled sky. William told her about his plans to become a teacher, while Kate spoke of her love for painting and her dream of opening a small art gallery someday. Their courtship had been sweet and patient. Long walks through the park, picnics, by the river, and letters exchanged when William went away for teacher training. Kate would wait by the mailbox each afternoon, her heart racing whenever she saw his familiar handwriting on an envelope. The proposal came 2 years later, on the same spot where they had shared their first dance. William had saved every penny he could to buy a simple but beautiful ring. Kate said yes before he could even finish his nervous speech, throwing her arms around him as tears of joy streamed down both their faces. Their wedding was small but perfect, held in Kate's childhood church with family and close friends. Kate's father walked her down the aisle in her grandmother's wedding dress, carefully altered to fit her petite frame. William waited at the altar, more handsome than ever in his borrowed suit, his eyes never leaving hers. The early years of marriage brought both joy and challenges. William taught at the local elementary school, where children adored his kind nature and endless patience. Kate opened her small art gallery in town, specializing in local artists and handmade crafts. Money was tight, but their love made everything feel possible. Their first child, a son named David, arrived on a snowy December morning. William paced the hospital hallway for hours, clutching a bunch of daisies he had picked from their garden. When the nurse finally let him see Kate and their baby, he cried tears of overwhelming happiness. 2 daughters followed, Sarah and Emma, each bringing their own unique joy to the growing family. The house filled with laughter, children's artwork, covering the refrigerator and the constant sound of little feet running through the hallways. Kate balanced motherhood with running her gallery, often bringing the children to work with her. They would play quietly in the back room while she helped customers or arranged new displays. William would stop by after school, and they would all walk home together, the children chattering about their day. Summers were spent at Kate's family cottage by the lake, where the children learned to swim and fish while their parents sat on the dock, holding hands and watching the sunset paint the water in brilliant colors. Those were the golden years, when everything seemed perfect and time moved slowly. But now, decades later, time felt precious and fleeting. William squeezed Kate's hand gently, bringing himself back to the present moment in this quiet hospital room, where their love story was approaching its final chapter. The diagnosis had come as a shock on an ordinary Tuesday morning in spring. Kate had been feeling tired for weeks, dismissing it as simply getting older. When the persistent cough developed, William had gently insisted she see their family doctor. Dr. Martinez, who had been caring for their family for over 20 years, the tests revealed what no one wanted to hear. Stage 4 lung cancer, aggressive and already spread. Kate had never smoked a day in her life, making the diagnosis even more cruel and unexpected. Dr. Martinez delivered the news with compassion, but the words hit like a physical blow. William remembered the drive home that day with painful clarity. They sat in complete silence in their old Honda, both trying to process what they had just learned. Kate stared out the passenger window at the blooming cherry trees lining their street. The same trees they had planted together 30 years ago when they first bought their home. 6 months to 2 years, Kate finally said, repeating the doctor's estimate. Her voice was steady, but William could see her hands trembling in her lap. He reached over and covered them with his own, pulling the car over to the curb because his vision had blurred with tears. They held each other in that car for a long time, not speaking, just breathing together and trying to find strength in their shared presence. The world continued around them, neighbors walking dogs, children riding bicycles, but their universe had suddenly become very small and very precious. That evening, they faced the difficult task of telling their children. David drove down from the city with his wife, Jennifer, while Sarah and Emma came with their families. The living room filled with people Kate loved most, but the atmosphere was heavy with unspoken dread. Kate chose to tell them herself, sitting in her favorite armchair with William standing behind her, his hands resting gently on her shoulders. She spoke clearly and calmly, explaining the diagnosis and the treatment options they would explore. The room erupted in a mixture of tears, questions, and fierce declarations of love and support. Their youngest daughter, Emma, now 35 with 2 teenagers of her own, knelt beside Kate's chair and took her mother's hands. "We're going to fight this together," she said firmly, her voice thick with emotion. Sarah nodded in agreement, already mentally organizing schedules and researching specialists. David, their practical son who had inherited William's steady nature, asked about treatment options and timelines. They discussed chemotherapy, radiation, and experimental treatments, but Kate surprised them all by saying she wanted time to think about what felt right for her. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of doctor appointments, second opinions, and difficult decisions. Kate chose to try chemotherapy, hoping to buy precious time with her family. William drove her to every appointment, sitting patiently in waiting rooms filled with other couples facing similar battles. The treatment was harsh. Kate, who had always been petite but strong, began losing weight rapidly. Her beautiful silver hair, which she had worn in the same elegant style for years, fell out in clumps. William helped her choose a soft scarf collection, and they spent an afternoon learning different ways to tie them. Despite everything, Kate maintained her grace and dignity. She continued running her art gallery as long as she could, finding joy in helping customers choose pieces that spoke to them. Her regular patrons noticed her scarves and thinner frame, but Kate deflected concern with her warm smile and genuine interest in their lives. The gallery became a gathering place for the community's love and support. Regular customers brought homemade soups and flowers. Local artists donated pieces for a special exhibition to help with medical expenses, though Kate protested that it wasn't necessary. William reduced his substitute teaching schedule to spend more time with Kate. They took slow walks through their neighborhood, stopping frequently to rest on benches they had passed thousands of times before but never really noticed. These walks became sacred time, filled with quiet conversation and comfortable silences. One particularly difficult evening after a chemotherapy session, Kate collapsed in their bedroom, weak and nauseous. William helped her into bed, bringing cool washcloths and her favorite chamomile tea. As he sat beside her, gently stroking her head, Kate looked up at him with tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry you have to see me like this." William's heart broke at her words. He leaned down and kissed her forehead tenderly. "Kate, my love, there is nowhere else I would rather be. We promised in sickness and health. Remember? This is just another chapter in our story." The treatment continued for months, with small victories and difficult setbacks. Some days were better than others, allowing for short visits with grandchildren or quiet afternoons in their garden. Kate found peace in painting when she felt strong enough, creating small watercolors of memories and moments she wanted to preserve. As autumn arrived, it became clear that the treatments were no longer helping. Kate's body had grown weaker, and the side effects were becoming unbearable. After a particularly difficult day at the hospital, she and William sat together on their back porch watching the maple trees turn brilliant shades of red and gold. "I want to stop the treatment," Kate said quietly, her words carrying across the evening air like falling leaves. William felt his heart clench, but he had been expecting this moment. He had watched her struggle and fight with incredible courage, and he knew that she deserved to make this choice on her own terms. "Are you sure?" he asked gently, taking her hand in his. Kate nodded, looking out at their garden where late-blooming roses still clung to their bushes. "I want whatever time I have left to be spent living, not just surviving." They called Dr. Martinez the next morning and discussed transitioning to palliative care. The focus would shift from fighting the disease to managing pain and ensuring Kate's comfort. It was a difficult conversation, but Dr. Martinez assured them that this was a brave and loving decision. The family gathered again that weekend, this time to discuss Kate's wishes for her final months. She wanted to spend as much time as possible at home, surrounded by the life she and William had built together. The children immediately began making arrangements to ensure their mother would have everything she needed. David took extended leave from his job to help coordinate care, while Sarah organized a schedule so someone would always be available to assist William. Emma, who lived closest, practically moved in, sleeping in her old childhood bedroom and helping with daily tasks. The house filled with a different kind of energy than before. Instead of the frantic pace of medical appointments and treatments, there was a gentle rhythm of family life. Grandchildren visited regularly, bringing their homework to do at Kate's bedside and sharing stories about school and friends. Kate's art gallery became a family project. With her guidance, they organized her inventory and decided which pieces would be donated to local schools and which would be gifts for special customers who had become friends over the years. She spent hours telling stories about different artists and the inspiration behind various pieces. One afternoon, Kate asked William to bring her easel into their bedroom. Despite her weakness, she wanted to paint one final piece. With trembling hands but a steady heart, she created a beautiful watercolor of their backyard garden, complete with the bird bath William had installed for their 10th anniversary. "This is for you," she told him, signing her name in the corner, with careful strokes. "So you can remember all our morning coffees on the porch, watching the cardinals at their bath." William treasured this painting more than any expensive artwork they had ever admired in museums. Their children and grandchildren created a memory book, filling it with photographs, stories, and letters expressing their love and gratitude. Each family member contributed something special. David wrote about the life lessons Kate had taught him. Sarah shared memories of their mother-daughter shopping trips, and Emma contributed poems she had written about her mother's strength. The grandchildren, ranging in age from 8 to 17, approached the project with touching sincerity. They drew pictures, wrote short essays about their grandmother's influence on their lives, and collected small mementos that reminded them of special times together. Kate spent hours looking through this memory book, laughing at funny photographs, and crying happy tears at the heartfelt messages. She would call family members to thank them for specific contributions, telling them how much their words meant to her. As winter approached, Kate's condition declined more rapidly. She began spending most of her days in bed, but her room became the heart of the home. William moved a comfortable chair beside her bed and spent every moment he could there, reading to her, playing soft music, or simply holding her hand. There, Pastor Reverend Thompson visited regularly to provide spiritual comfort and support. Kate had always found peace in her faith, and these conversations brought her great solace. William, though less religious by nature, found comfort in the prayers and the sense of community their church family provided. One evening, as snow began falling outside their bedroom window, Kate asked William to lie beside her. He carefully arranged himself on the bed, mindful of her fragile condition, and held her gently against his chest. They watched the snowflakes dance in the lamplight from their window. "Do you think we lived a good life?" Kate asked, her voice barely above a whisper. William was quiet for a moment, thinking about all their years together, the joys and sorrows, the ordinary moments and the extraordinary ones, the love that had sustained them through everything. "I think we lived a beautiful life," he replied, pressing a gentle kiss to the top of her head. "A life full of love and meaning and precious moments. We raised wonderful children. We built something lasting together. And we loved each other deeply for over 50 years. What could be better than that?" Kate smiled, feeling peaceful and complete. Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering their garden in a blanket of pristine white, as if the world itself was preparing for the quiet transition that lay ahead. The hospice nurse, Maria, arrived on a cold January morning, bringing with her a gentle presence that immediately put the family at ease. She was experienced in guiding families through this difficult journey, and her calm demeanor helped everyone understand what to expect in the coming weeks. Maria taught William how to make Kate more comfortable, showing him how to adjust pillows to ease her breathing and which medications could help with pain. She spoke to the entire family about the signs to watch for and assured them that Kate would not be alone in her final moments. During these last weeks, Kate experienced moments of surprising clarity mixed with periods of peaceful sleep. On her good days, she would ask William to open the curtains so she could see their snow-covered garden. She found comfort in watching the winter birds at their feeders, cardinals, blue jays, and little chickadees that seemed especially bright against the white landscape. One morning, Kate woke with unusual energy and asked William to help her sit up in bed. She wanted to see each of her children and grandchildren individually to share final words with them. The family gathered, and throughout that day, each person had precious one-on-one time with her. With David, she talked about his career and encouraged him to remember that success wasn't just about achievements, but about the relationships he built along the way. She reminded him how proud she was of the father and husband he had become, and how his steady, caring nature was just like his father's. Sarah received her mother's jewelry box, filled with pieces that told the story of their family. Kate explained the history behind each item: the pearl earrings that had belonged to her own mother, the silver bracelet William had given her for their first anniversary, the small gold locket containing photos of all 3 children as babies. Emma, her youngest, listened as Kate shared memories of their special bond. As the baby of the family, Emma had always held a unique place in Kate's heart. Kate told her daughter how her creativity and free spirit had brought such joy to their home and encouraged her to always follow her artistic instincts. The grandchildren were perhaps the most difficult goodbyes. Kate spoke to each one about their talents and dreams, giving them small keepsakes to remember her by. To her teenage grandson Marcus, she gave her collection of art books. To little Sophie, her youngest granddaughter, she gave a small charm bracelet with tiny hearts. As evening approached, Kate grew tired but peaceful. The family gathered in her room, some sitting in chairs, others on the floor, all simply wanting to be near her. They shared stories, laughed about funny memories, and created an atmosphere of love rather than sadness. William never left Kate's side during these final days. He slept in the chair beside her bed, ate his meals there, and maintained a constant, gentle presence. Their children worried about his health, but he wouldn't be persuaded to rest anywhere else. "We've been together for 53 years, he told David when his son expressed concern. "I'm not going to miss a single moment we have left." His devotion was both heartbreaking and beautiful, a testament to their enduring love. Maria visited daily, monitoring Kate's condition and providing guidance to the family. She assured them that Kate was comfortable and that her breathing, though labored, wasn't causing distress. The medications were keeping her peaceful, and she could likely still hear their voices even when she couldn't respond. On a quiet Tuesday morning, Kate opened her eyes and looked directly at William with remarkable clarity. She hadn't spoken in 2 days, but her eyes held all the love and recognition that words couldn't express. William leaned close, whispering how much he loved her and how grateful he was for their life together. "Thank you," Kate managed to whisper, her voice barely audible. "Thank you for loving me so well." William's eyes filled with tears as he kissed her forehead gently. "Thank you for making my life beautiful," he replied. The family maintained a vigil, taking turns sitting with Kate and William, bringing cups of tea and quiet conversation. The house felt suspended in time, filled with a sacred atmosphere that honored the profound transition taking place. Reverend Thompson came to pray with them, and even family members who weren't particularly religious found comfort in his presence and gentle words. He spoke about Kate's life as a gift to everyone she had touched, and about love being stronger than death. That evening, as the sun set behind the snow-laden trees in their backyard, Kate's breathing became more shallow and peaceful. William held her hand, speaking softly about their first meeting, their wedding day, and all the precious moments they had shared. The children surrounded them, creating a circle of love and support. The room grew quiet, except for Kate's gentle breathing and William's soft voice, sharing one final story about their early days together, when they had dreamed of growing old side by side. Outside, the winter stars began to appear in the clear sky, bearing witness to a love story reaching its earthly conclusion. Kate passed away peacefully on a Wednesday morning just as dawn was breaking, with William holding her hand and their children surrounding her bed. Her final breath came so gently that for a moment no one was certain she had gone. Then William leaned forward and kissed her forehead one last time, whispering, "Rest well, my love." The silence that followed was profound, not empty, but full of the presence of a life well lived and deeply loved. Maria, who had arrived an hour earlier, confirmed what they already knew and began guiding the family through the necessary steps with gentle professionalism. William remained beside Kate for a long time, holding her hand and speaking quietly, to her as if she could still hear him. The children respected his need for these private moments, stepping out to make phone calls and begin the difficult process of notifying friends and extended family. Dr. Martinez arrived to complete the official paperwork, his eyes filled with compassion for the family he had known for so long. He spoke briefly with William, offering condolences and sharing his own memories of Kate's grace and kindness during their many years as patient and doctor. The funeral director who came to care for Kate's body was respectful and patient, allowing the family all the time they needed to say their final goodbyes. William asked for a few minutes alone, and when he emerged from the bedroom, his face showed both deep grief and peaceful acceptance. The following days passed in a blur of arrangements and visitors. Kate had left detailed instructions for her funeral, wanting it to be a celebration of life rather than a somber affair. She had chosen her favorite hymns, requested that people wear colors rather than black, and asked that donations be made to the local art education program instead of flowers. Their small church was packed beyond capacity for the service. Students William had taught over his 40-year career came to pay their respects, some now adults with children of their own. Customers from Kate's gallery filled several pews, many carrying small pieces of artwork she had helped them choose. Over the years, David delivered the eulogy, his voice steady but emotional as he shared stories of their mother's creativity, compassion, and unwavering love for her family. He spoke about her art gallery as more than a business. It was a place where she connected people with beauty and helped local artists share their gifts with the community. Sarah read one of Kate's favorite poems, while Emma performed a song. Their mother had loved. Accompanying herself on the piano, Kate had insisted all the children learn to play. The music filled the church with bittersweet beauty, capturing both the sadness of loss and the joy of having known such a special person. William sat in the front pew, surrounded by his children and grandchildren, finding strength in their presence. He had chosen not to speak at the service, feeling that his private words to Kate had said everything necessary. Instead, he listened to the beautiful tributes from others and felt grateful for the community that had embraced their family so completely. The reception afterward was held in the church fellowship hall, where people shared memories and stories about Kate's impact on their lives. A local artist had created a memory board filled with photographs spanning Kate's life, from her childhood through their wedding day to recent pictures with grandchildren. William moved through the gathering, like someone in a dream, accepting condolences and listening to countless stories about Kate's kindness. A former student of his, now a successful teacher herself, told him how Kate had encouraged her love of art when she was struggling in school. A young mother shared how Kate had helped her choose her first piece of original artwork after saving up for months. As the evening wound down, the family returned to the house that suddenly felt so empty. The children stayed for several more days, helping William begin the overwhelming process of sorting through Kate's belongings and adjusting to life without her constant presence. The hardest moments came at unexpected times, when William automatically made 2 cups of coffee in the morning, when he reached for the phone to call Kate from the grocery store, when he found her reading glasses beside her favorite chair. Grief, he discovered, lived in these small, ordinary moments that had been shared for over 5 decades. Emma found her mother's unfinished watercolor still on the easel in their bedroom, a painting of sunrise over their garden that Kate had been working on during her final weeks. William couldn't bear to move it, leaving the easel exactly as Kate had positioned it, with her brushes still soaking in a glass jar beside it. Sarah helped her father organize Kate's art supplies and finished paintings, many of which would be donated to local schools and community centers as Kate had requested. Going through these artistic treasures was both painful and healing, each piece carrying memories of Kate's creative spirit and generous heart. The community continued to show support in countless ways. Neighbors brought meals, friends stopped by with flowers from their gardens, and former gallery customers shared stories about pieces Kate had helped them select. William realized that Kate's influence extended far beyond their family, touching lives in ways he had never fully understood. One evening, about a week after the funeral, William sat alone in their bedroom, holding the final watercolor Kate had painted for him. The garden scene seemed to glow in the lamplight, every brush stroke a testament to her love and artistic skill. For the first time since her passing, he smiled, remembering her determination to complete this gift despite her weakness. 3 months after Kate's passing, William established a routine that honored both his grief and his need to continue living meaningfully. Each morning, he sat on their back porch with his coffee, talking quietly to Kate as he watched the birds at their feeders. Spring was arriving, and he could see the first green shoots emerging in the garden they had tended together for decades. The children worried about him living alone, but William insisted he wasn't ready to make any major changes. The house held too many precious memories, and he found comfort in being surrounded by the life he and Kate had built together. Every room contained traces of her presence, her books on the bedside table, her coffee mug in the kitchen cabinet, her paintings throughout the house. David visited every weekend, often bringing his tools to help with home maintenance projects that had accumulated during Kate's illness. Father and son worked together in comfortable companionship, talking about everything and nothing while fixing leaky faucets and organizing the garage. Sarah called every few days and came for dinner twice a week, bringing groceries and cooking meals in Kate's kitchen. She had inherited her mother's practical nature and gentle way of caring for others. William looked forward to these visits, which brought life and laughter back into the quiet house. Emma, with her artistic soul, understood her father's need to preserve Kate's creative space. She helped him transform Kate's art room into a small memorial gallery, displaying her mother's paintings and some of the pieces from local artists that Kate had particularly loved. This room became William's favorite place to sit quietly and remember. The community continued to show support in thoughtful ways. Mrs. Chen from next door brought homemade soup every Thursday. The postal worker always took a moment to ask how William was doing. Former students would stop by occasionally, sharing updates about their lives and expressing gratitude for the education and kindness both William and Kate had provided over the years. William began volunteering at the elementary school where he had taught, reading to children in the library and helping with art projects. Being around young people brought him joy and purpose, and he found that sharing Kate's love of creativity with new generations felt like a meaningful way to honor her memory. One afternoon, while sorting through Kate's papers, William found a sealed envelope with his name written in her familiar handwriting. Inside was a letter dated just weeks before her death, filled with her thoughts about their life together and her hopes for his future without her. "My dearest William," the letter began, "if you are reading this, it means I am no longer beside you, but please know that my love continues always. You gave me a beautiful life filled with joy, purpose, and deep contentment. Now I want you to find ways to be happy again, not despite missing me, but in honor of what we shared." Kate's letter continued for several pages, sharing specific memories that had meant the most to her and encouraging William to stay connected with their children and grandchildren. She asked him to keep painting the bird bath every spring, to maintain her flower garden, and to continue supporting local artists in whatever way felt right to him. "Don't let missing me keep you from living," she wrote near the end. "Love doesn't end with death. It transforms into something eternal that can inspire new growth and connection. Be open to friendship, to laughter, to new experiences. This isn't being disloyal to our love. It's honoring it by continuing to embrace life fully." William read this letter countless times, finding new comfort and wisdom in Kate's words each time. Gradually, he began to understand that healing didn't mean forgetting Kate or loving her less, but rather finding ways to carry that love forward into whatever years remained to him. 6 months after Kate's passing, William made his first major decision about the future. He donated most of Kate's art gallery inventory to local schools and community centers, keeping only the pieces that held special memories. The gallery space was rented to a young couple who planned to open a bookstore cafe, and William found peace in knowing the space would continue bringing joy to the community. As his first Christmas without Kate approached, William felt both sadness and determination to create new traditions while honoring their shared past. The children gathered at the family home as always, bringing their own families and filling the house with the sounds of life and love that Kate had always cherished most. On Christmas morning, William gave each family member a small painting that Kate had created specifically for them during her final months, gifts she had secretly worked on and hidden away. The discovery of these precious final presents brought tears and laughter, perfectly capturing Kate's continuing presence in their lives even after her physical departure. Standing in their living room surrounded by children and grandchildren, William felt Kate's love radiating through the family they had raised together. The grief remained, but it had transformed into something bearable, a testament to a life shared deeply and a love that would continue influencing generations to come. Outside, snow began falling again, just as it had on that night when Kate asked if they had lived a good life. William smiled, knowing with certainty that their love story had been extraordinary, not because it was perfect, but because it was real, enduring, and transformative for everyone it touched.